Hi, it's Mrs. Roberts, and I'm here for First Chapter Friday. And I'm really excited about the book selection this week. It is another Sunshine State book, and it is called Me and Banksy by Tanya Lloyd Kyi. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the artist Banksy, but he is so famous. And he's a famous graffiti artist and street artist, and he travels the world. And the really interesting thing about Banksy is no one knows who he is. So I would like to read for you the back of the book first, and then I'm going to read you the first chapter. The back of the book. Dominica's school is covered in cameras, and someone is hacking into the cameras and posting embarrassing moments for the whole school to see. After she quickly changes her shirt right side out in a private corner of the library, Dominica is shocked and horrified to discover a video has captured this and is currently circulating amongst her schoolmates. Who has access to the school security cameras, and why are they doing this? Inspired by the anonymous street artist known as Banksy, Dominica turns to graffiti to express her rage. As her art draws attention and the battle over school security grows more heated, Dominica starts to wonder, could her art become a weapon against surveillance? Me and Banksy. Chapter 1, C'est fromage, which is cheese. Grandma Georgina and I sit on the patio of La Passiere, where she treats Mom and me to brunch every Sunday. My mother is late. She inherited my looks, but your grandfather's brains, George sighs. Grandma Georgina prefers me to call her George, especially in public. She says the word grandma nullifies the hundreds of dollars per month she spends on salon coloring, and there's no sense wasting cash on an unnecessary label. I've got something special for you, she says, pulling her leather shoulder bag onto her lap. Every week she brings me a different book from her gallery's gift shop. I hand back last week's hardcover, a collection of still life paintings by Mary Pratt. On the cover, red currant jelly glistens like blood in glass dessert cups. Ooh, what did you think, Dominica? George lifts the book toward her carefully, as if the jelly might spill. Ridiculously sad. The essay about the baby twins dying? I'm scarred forever. You should give me happier books. But you can see the devastation in her work, can't you? George waves her hands rather dramatically, and I slide her water glass out of danger. You can, even when it's a painting of fruit, I admit. Isn't that incredible? The way she says it, I'm not entirely sure if George is talking about Mary Pratt or me. Well, this week, I brought something completely different, she says. We're distracted by a silver Lexus zooming up the street. My mother swerves into a parking spot across from our patio. She hops from her car before the wheels have quite stopped rolling, checks the meter, and clicks a few buttons on her cell. As we watch, she shakes her phone and pushes a few more buttons. Then she scrabbles in the bottom of her purse for change. Her purse is the size of an ocean-going vessel. Trying to find anything in there will be hopeless. I can see her frustration building. It's as if her dark hair is curling more and more tightly. I'll go and help, I say. George puts her hand on my arm. Never mind, Dominica. She'll figure it out eventually. Which is true. Mom disappears into a store and reappears a minute later with gourmet chocolate bars in one hand and a collection of coins in the other. After she feeds the meter, she jaywalks across the street, waving prettily at the black Jag that almost hits her. Tuck this in your back pocket for later, George says, passing me her newest book selection. It's quite subversive. Before I can ask what subversive means, Mom drops into the chair beside mine. What a morning! She may not be the most organized, and she doesn't always make the best decisions, but Mom has a smile like the whipped cream on top of my chocolate shot. As soon as her dimples appear, I want to kiss her. I can tell it works the same way on George. Mom gives us each a chocolate bar, which also helps. I tuck mine into my pack as our favorite waiter appears. Pierre, darling, George says, motioning him lower so she can pat his cheek. Once that little ritual's over, we order our meals. Then George turns to me, clasps her hands together, and says, Well, girl who inherited both my brains and my looks, What's new in the 8th grade? Nothing much, I say. I have a project due this week. For which class, Mom asks. If she were a different type of mom, she'd already know the answer. But our Sunday brunches are an update for her as much as for George, which might be why George insists that she turn up every week. Ethics. We have to write about a privacy or security technology that's changing the world. And what did you choose? George asks. Drones. Mom wrinkles her nose. Horrible things. Don't they drop bombs? I nod. But you should see all the other crazy stuff that they do. Artists are using them to create aerial ballets, circus performances, multimedia shows. What does that have to do with privacy, dear? George asks. I grin sheepishly. I got a little distracted while I was researching, but I have a few more days to work on it. Mom yawns. They can also deliver pizza to your door minutes after you order, I tell her. How wonderful. George turns to Mom. Perhaps they could deliver your canapes, darling. As if my human servers aren't trouble enough, Mom says. She and her best friend own a catering company, and she's always complaining about finding good staff. I pick up the bread basket and swing it gently through the air toward her. More bread, madame? I ask in a robot voice. Mom snorts. Pierre returns, setting down our breakfast plates. He lifts George's napkin from beside her cutlery and flicks it elegantly into her lap before offering a twist of freshly ground pepper. George sighs happily. Let's not place Pierre with a flying robot quite yet, she whispers as he leaves. Meanwhile, Mom, meanwhile, is examining a piece of sausage on the end of her fork. Now this is a world-changing invention, she says. Then she eats it. I'm having mascarpone French toast, also world-changing, and George is nibbling on poached eggs and fruit. How was your morning, Carol? George asks between strawberries. A wedding rehearsal dinner for 30 guests tonight. We're completely in the weeds. Soon we have the wedding itself, and we're catering a conference on the same day. You've been busy, George says. Dominica tells me you've met a new friend, too. Which is a complete lie. Mom's been out with her new friend quite often lately, leaving me to my own devices. But, George, I never said that. When Mom's eyes flit to me, I give her an innocent shrug. I have no idea how my grandma knows these things. It's as if she can smell gossip. My new friend is Frank. He's a lawyer, Mom says. Ooh la la, does he yoga with you as well? Yoga is not a verb, Mom rolls her eyes. She did meet Frank at yoga, though. Maybe George is psychic. Is he divorced? George asks next. Definitely psychic. Things go on like this until we finish our meals. George pays the bill and we collect our jackets. As we pass the host in his podium, I spot a camera above the door. Ever since we started this privacy and security unit in our ethics class, I've been extra aware of cameras. Now I notice them everywhere. I pause to wave at this one. If someone has to watch that video feed, they have the most boring job ever. They deserve a little encouragement. On the sidewalk, George kisses us, each on both cheeks, as if eating at a French cafe has turned us into French people. She holds my hand in hers for longer than necessary afterward and looks me directly in the eyes. Everything okay? She asks. Perfect, I say. And at that moment, it's completely true. Then we have a little text conversation here that I'll read to you. Holden. Help. Me, question mark. Holden, stuck in a dungeon, can't get out. Me, does boy who cried wolf mean anything to you? Holden, would it help if I said you are a genius? Me, that's been scientifically established. Your opinion isn't necessary. Holden, one day when you're undercover and someone blows your identity, exposing you to lurking assassins, I'll leap in front of the bullet for you. Me, BRT. It's not as if I have anything else to do. George has a meeting with a gallery client, Mom's gone back to work, and even though you'd think I'd be used to it by now, I don't love being home by myself. It seems I'm free to help with gaming emergencies. I bike the few blocks to Holden's house, a Victorian mansion his architect parents have restored. Not renovated, restored. That means they've polished the dark wood wainscoting, replaced the shredded original hardwood with salvage boards, and otherwise spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to make everything look perfectly old. You can practically smell years of roast turkey dinners, see petticoat-clad girls skipping down the stairs, and hear an eccentric aunt scribbling her manuscript in the attic. I knock lightly on the French doors at the back, and Holden's mom waves me inside. She's on the phone, her lacquered blonde hair tucked behind one ear. Drink, snack, she mouths. When I shake my head, she points me downstairs. I find Holden on the leather couch in the basement media room, slouched in a nest of blankets. There's an open bag of potato chips on the coffee table, and the air smells of socks and morning breath. How long have you been playing? He jumps at the sound of my voice and pulls himself upright. He launches into a long explanation of his problem. I have to look away from the screen so I don't get dizzy, while his character races over rock slides and around the traps, the view tilting and turning. I'm great today. Thanks for asking, I say. No response. Yes, it is nice outside. I had brunch with my mom and grandma. Almost there, he says. My grandma, she's having an alien baby. Here, this is the issue. He points to a wall panel emblazoned with 3 symbols. I have to make all 3 of them light up at the same time, and I found the horseshoe. That's an omega. And the funny-shaped N, that's pi. I can't find this loopy thing, theta. I'm stuck until I solve it. I need your puzzle skills. Isn't this why they invented Google? That's cheating, he says. So while it's cheating to search for the answer, it's okay to call me for help? This makes absolutely no sense, but whatever. I brush chip crumbs off of a couch cushion, sit down beside him, and reach for the controller. This sort of thing has always been easy for me. It takes only a minute to figure out the puzzle. Theta glows once I shoot omega and pi in quick succession. But no escape route appears. What's all this red stuff? It blows up if you shoot it. Press X, Holden says. I hand back the controller. Shoot omega and pi, then shoot theta once it glows, then hit the red stuff while all 3 are still lit up. After a flurry of clicking, the base of an explosion shakes the room. On screen, the wall crumbles to reveal a gate which screeches open. You're officially the best ever, Holden says, without looking at me, because he's already running from the dungeon. Well, now that I've saved the world, I guess I'll go finish my ethics project. I take a handful of chips for the ride. Wait, he says as I reach the doorway. I pause. Will your family accept your grandma's alien baby, or will she have to give it up for adoption? I throw chips at his head, but it falls disappointingly short. I'm upstairs and almost out the door when Holden's mom catches me. Dominica, are you leaving already? I was hoping you might distract Holden. Take him out somewhere? Miss LeClaire and I have had variations of this conversation about 1,000 times before. He won't go. He's deep in his game. She clicks her tongue, and I wait for the rest, the part where she asks what activities Holden might enjoy. He and I used to be so close, honey, she sighs. When he was a kid, 5 or 6 years old, Holden was the blue-eyed, freckled star of a show called Me in the Middle. He went on to guest appearances on some even more successful shows. But by 6th grade, when we started hanging out, he'd stopped acting and quit his after-school dance, music, and voice classes. He sort of just stopped everything. Which is why Ms. LeClaire wrings her hands about every time she talks to me. Thankfully, her phone buzzes. Sorry, she mouths. I slip out the door while I have the chance. That's chapter 1 of Me and Banksy. Check it out from the Media Center. Have a great week.